hello to everybody here. And I'm really pleased to see there's so many people actually in the room doing things around the carbon space, which I really have seen this for a long time now. First of all, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Samantha from Earth. So an overview is a lot of people don't actually really know what soil carbon is. It's probably one of the critical questions I get. So it's a lot more about biology and biodiversity than people realise. Carbon actually, in a nutshell, is life. It's life in your soil. You can think of it, I talk about it as cathedrals in the soil. It's the architecture from which everything else, life can exist. And my whole focus for the last 27 years has been around getting funding to farmers, getting them paid for nurturing the land and looking after it. As that in 2025, early 25, farmers and all businesses, well, let's just say businesses, are going to be required to report on their environment, social and governance, or ESG, reporting or footprint, their effect of what they're doing that is costing nature. And this will come and have effect back along the supply chains, which farmers are already experiencing. So this is really trying to tell you, you're going to have to start looking at this. You're going to have to start looking at biology and biodiversity as critical to not only the future of the soil, but also to your financial future. So this is really about unlocking new revenue streams. Soil carbon isn't just about farming anymore. It's investing in soil coring and scientific data collection. You're improving your land and creating a commodity that can be sold in the international markets to create a bolster against changing markets and laws. The carbon stored in your soil can be converted into tradable credits, providing a consistent income stream, which isn't just theory. It's a proven strategy. I talk about the science and why soil is an asset. It's really important for the marketplace, for the story. That is the critical thing people are not understanding. It's all very well to talk about what do you do, how do you measure it, people want to sell it, but we're selling it internationally, and the international market, the big thing they're wanting is traceability. That's why you need the science. You need the traceability of who measured it, who tested it, who valued it, and then for actual purchase of it, they want to know the story. They want to know the biodiversity. They want to know what you've done on the land that is why they're paying you. A carbon credit or asset that you need to look at is a payment for works done. And without all that data being independently verified, the market is really worried because of all the greenwashing. There's actually thousands and thousands of tonnes that are being wasted now because there was a lot of lies going on in the space about trees that weren't even there, and a lot of people think of carbon credits as only being about trees, and we basically don't touch the trees other than as biodiversity habitat and major pumps taking that carbon into the soil, and we recommend you doing soil cores around the trees rather than measuring the trees themselves, because soil carbon is really the Rolls Royce of carbon measurements. So measuring it is, again, I just throw some things in here. My book goes into all of this stuff, so I'm not going to go into too much depth. I'd love you to go and buy my book. This is the launching date for it. Carbon is not a dirty word, and it's really about the governance and trading and looking at all these things around soil carbon. So they do measure with satellite. We do soil cores. There is other systems, and I go into what all those things mean, but we really believe that the soil cores down to at least a measure is a critical way of seeing the sequestration part, because carbon does cycle in and out of the land. In the top sort of section it is affected by weather, but you really start to get sequestering at about 40 centimetres depth. So we're really asking you to look at doing the deep soil cores is pretty critical to that. So the market reality is that the European demand is big, and there's actually a lot that you don't see because it's only sold within the wholesale market, B2B, so it's not really public facing. Businesses are buying carbon for their own offsets within their own system. So a lot of people say to me, but there isn't a market, there isn't an exchange, and we don't need to sell it. And I say, well, if this is a 1-year credit, it's a critical difference between the ACCU, which is a 25-year credit. The one we're doing is a 1-year credit. So getting that across the line as a new methodology and a new way of looking at it has been a really big ask, with lots and lots of due diligence and scientific protocols and people reading it all. So we're almost there. We're very excited about being able to, because we look at being able to sell the first 2 million tonnes through this system, which will mean that the farmer can then afford to plan for it, do it with, and then we, enter the market as a yearly contract rather than a 25-year commitment. Why you need to choose us is that we are really looking a lot at the methodologies. We won't just represent one, but at this point we're really only working on the one. But we will look mainly at, does it have the right transparency? Is it improving the carbon ongoingly? Are you improving biodiversity? And are you making money? Like, we really want you to be making money. My whole key thing is driving new revenue streams and funding into Australian and global farmers, because farmers are suiciding at a tremendous rate all over the world as they're not being paid what it costs to grow food. And the key point being biodiversity. I wanted to just show this little pie chart up that we have the potential to sequester 1 to 3 gigatons per annum. The globally that we emit as a species, we emit roughly 40 gigatons. And I think people don't realise that when they don't understand if all farms went regenerative, we could actually solve a lot of the climate problem here with 70, 80 gigatons per annum, that farmers could solve this problem. That's why I've always been so passionate about saying you guys are the solution, not the problem.